Hey there, I'm Mike, and today I'm going to show you how to use the Gmail SMTP server to send emails for free. With the Gmail SMTP server, you'll be able to send emails from your Gmail account using other email clients such as Outlook or Thunderbird. But more importantly, you can also use Gmail's SMTP server to send emails from your WordPress site for free. This is a really great way to make your WordPress site's emails more reliable without needing to spend money on a dedicated email sending service. Gmail lets you send up to 500 emails per day, which is more than enough for the vast majority of sites. In this video, we'll cover everything you need to know about sending emails using the Gmail SMTP server. But before we get too far, I want to let you know that there'll be links to more resources in the video's description below. Resources like Gmail's SMTP server settings. And remember, subscribe and ring that bell to get more notifications for future helpful content. Now, let's send some emails. To get started, you need to create a Google app so that you can connect to the Gmail server via the API instead of just plugging in the SMTP details. There are a good number of steps involved in doing this. This is just a one-time setup process. That is, once you take the 30 to 60 minutes to go through the setup, your site will continue to benefit on autopilot. In addition to creating a Google app, you'll also need the help of a WordPress SMTP plugin. We're going to use the free Post SMTP Mailer email log plugin. But the free WP Mail SMTP plugin is also another good option that supports the Gmail API. The basic process goes like this. First, install the Post SMTP Mailer email log plugin. You need to do this first to get the URLs to use in your Google app. Second, create a Google app. This is the most complicated part of the process, but we'll guide you through every step. Third, add your Google App API keys to the Post SMTP Mailer email log settings. And 4, send a test email to make sure everything is working. To get started, you need to install and activate the free Post SMTP Mailer email log plugin from WordPress.org. This is what lets you configure your WordPress site to send emails via the Gmail API SMTP server. After activating the plugin, go to the Post SMTP tab in your WordPress dashboard and click the Show All Settings link underneath the big Start the Wizard button. Then go to the Message tab and set your From email address and name. You can use your Gmail address as the From email, or you could use a different email address if you prefer. Next, go back to the Account tab and choose Gmail API in the Type dropdown. Once you make this choice, you should see some additional options in the authentication box below. Keep this page open because you're going to need the authorized JavaScript origins and authorized redirect URI details for the next step. Now you need to create a Google app. This is what allows your WordPress site to securely send emails via the Gmail API. Again, this is definitely the most complicated part of this process. However, it's mainly just clicking lots of buttons and will give you all the steps and screenshots you need to make it through. To get started, open a new tab and copy this URL to go to the Google Developers Console. There, you need to create a new project. If it's your first time logging into the Developers Console, Google will prompt you to create your first project. Or, if you already have some projects in there, you can create a new one by clicking the drop-down in the top left corner. Once you've created your project, click the button to enable APIs and services. On the next screen, search for Gmail and choose the Gmail API result. Then, click Enable in the full Gmail API page. Now, you should be in a dedicated interface for the Gmail API. Click the button to Create Credentials. Fill out the Find Out What Credentials You Need form using the following information. Once you've done that, click the What Credentials Do I Need button at the bottom. Now, Google will prompt you that you need to set up a consent screen. This is the same type of authorization screen that you see when you use Google to sign up or log in to a site. You need to do this to satisfy Google's requirements, but you don't need to worry about the information that you enter because you'll only be using this for your own WordPress site. Click the button to set up consent screen. This should open a new tab where you can configure an OAuth consent screen. Keep the original browser tab handy because you'll need to go back to it here in a second. Under user type, select external, then click create. On the next screen, enter basic details for your site. Again, you don't need to worry about what you put here because you're the only person who will see this information. Once you've added the information, click save at the bottom. Now go back to the tab that contains the Add Credentials to Your Project interface and enter the following information. Once you've added everything, click Refresh. Then the Refresh button should change to Create OAuth Client ID. Click that to finish the process and then click Done. Now you're almost finished. Once you click Done, you should see a section for OAuth 2.0 client IDs in the Credentials tab of your project, which should automatically open after you click Done. Click on the entry for the name that you just created. Now, you just need to find two pieces of information, your client ID and your client secret. Keep these values accessible because you're going to need them here in the next step. To finish the setup, go back to the Post SMTP Mailer email log settings in your WordPress dashboard and paste in the client ID and client secret from the previous step. Then, make sure to save your changes. Now, the plugin should prompt you to grant permission with Google. Clicking that link will open the normal Google authorization process. However, because you didn't submit your app to Google for review, Google will show you a warning that says this app isn't verified. Because this is your own app, you can safely ignore the warning. Click the option to show advanced settings and then click the link to continue the authorization process. You'll now go through the regular process. Make sure to choose the option to allow your WordPress site to have access to your Gmail account. It needs these permissions to send emails via the Gmail SMTP server. To make sure everything is working, Post SMTP Mailer includes an option to send a test email. You can access this from the main settings page. You can enter the email that you want to send a test message to. Then, you should see a success message in the plugin settings. And if you go to your email inbox, you should also see a test email. If all goes well, you're finished. Your WordPress site will now send all of its emails using the Gmail SMTP server. You can make sure that this is happening by going to Post SMTP, then Email Log. This will list all of the emails that your site sends, along with any errors if the plugin encounters problems. Do you still have any questions about the Gmail SMTP server or how you can use it with WordPress? Ask us in the comments below. Kinsta's WordPress hosting can speed up your website by up to 200%, and you'll get 24/7 support from our expert WordPress engineers. Let us show you the Kinsta difference. Try a free demo of our My Kinsta dashboard at demo.kinsta.com. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials, explainers, and helpful content like this.